Disclaimer. The content provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. While we discuss topics related to mental health advice, life wisdom, and alike, the opinions expressed are personal views of the hosts and do not constitute professional, legal, or medical advice. We make no representations or warranties about the accuracy or completeness of the information discussed. Any action you take based on the information in this podcast is strictly at your own risk, and we are not liable for any losses or damages in connection with its use. Additionally, this podcast may contain discussions around addictions, substances, which are intended for adult audiences. We do not endorse any illegal activities. Please consult your local laws before engaging in any actions related to this content. By listening to this podcast, you agree that you are over the age of 18 or the age of majority in your jurisdiction and understand the terms of this disclaimer.
Welcome to the Balancing Forces podcast, where two opposites collide in the best way possible. One brings the fire,
the other keeps it chill.
But together we share life's lessons, hard-earned wisdom,
advice you can actually use.
Whether you need a fresh perspective or just a laugh, we're here to elevate your mind. So buckle up, because things are about to get real and
really funny.
Are you ready to level up your astrology game? Join the Alchemist Laboratory by Solar Systems. For just $33 a month, you get access to 10+ courses, a resource library, manifestation secrets, live Q&As, and so much more. Over $2,300 in value. Transform your understanding of astrology and unlock hidden knowledge. Sign up now through the school app and follow Solar Systems on TikTok and Instagram.
Chapter 20. How do I become me when I don't even know who I am? But Sven, how do I become the real me when I have no idea who the real me is? I mean, if the real me was stuffed inside some box deep down inside me decades ago, as you say, how do I ever figure out who I am? How do I open up and unpack the box? What you say about the core beliefs in the 3 binary gates makes total sense. I get it. What scares me about all of this is I have no idea who I really am and no idea how to find out. This is a question I hear every week. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. My first response to this question is always, don't get down. For the simple truth is that part of becoming the real you is discovering that which is not you. All the missteps and unfulfilling paths are wonderful, though painful, research. They're all things that you can cross off the list, but also every not you is talking to you, trying to teach you. You must ask the questions. What is this not me trying to teach me about life and about me specifically? This is what it means to learn from failure and setback. This is part of what it means to live deliberately. No relationship, career, or life cul-de-sac is a waste if you learn what it is trying to teach you, so don't despair. The grand mistake of life is to have the experience but miss the meaning. T.S. Eliot, paraphrase from Dry Salvages. But my second response is that it is very important to understand a significant point. Previously, one of the grand problems of life, at least at the spirit or core level, is that we tend to hoist control of our life outside of ourselves. It starts, obviously enough, in childhood when the parent basically controls every last element of the child's life. The child trusts the parent, is dependent upon the parent, and for the most part is completely subject to the power of the parent. Then, in theory, as the child reaches 10 to 12 years old, or roughly puberty, and begins the very natural movement away from the parent as the primary power source and knowledge source in life, the parent encourages the child to not depend on the parent so much in decision-making and in defending of self. But of course, that's when it gets harder for the parent to let go. Just when the parent most needs to step back, the parent most wants to step in. The parent has already invested so much time, energy, and love. Every chauffeuring to a band concert or baseball game, every school event, every meal together is one more cord binding the parent's identity to that child. It becomes a tall order to change how that love for the child then gets expressed. Worse, the parent now knows that the decisions have greater consequences as the child ages. And so, wanting to spare the child the loss that comes with bad decisions, the parent either explicitly or insidiously controls the teen's decisions. That seems to save headaches now, but is always a setup for failure later when Billy moves into adulthood. For Billy then lacks the capacity to make decisions and accept or recover from failures, fall downs, and screw-ups. He has never stood on his own 2 feet and learned the confidence and clarity that come with making his own decisions and his own mistakes, free of judgment. Worse still, however, is the fact that by removing Billy's ability to make his own decisions, the parent teaches the child to not trust himself, not trust his or her own inner voice. And it could be argued that a 13 or 16-year-old ought not to trust his or her own voice. But that is precisely when the child must begin to develop a relationship with his or her own self. There is a safe laboratory of small consequences compared to adulthood, and being surrounded by non-judgmental, encouraging love, words, and actions. For if that transfer of power over the child from the parent back to the child never happens, the kid becomes an adult who is forever looking for someone to tell him or her what to do, how to act, and what decisions to make. That is an extremely vulnerable and dangerous position for any adult to be operating from. Yet, there is still an even worse factor playing into the equation of parental hold on control over the teen and his or her decisions. It's called pride, embarrassment, putting on a good face. Few people are more vain than me, yet I have siblings, friends, clients, and acquaintances who are quite devoid of my vanity, who nonetheless confess they struggle constantly with the desire to control or at least influence their child's decisions because of how it will reflect on him or her, the parent. This longing to control our kids for reasons both protective and tragically selfish set up a child who becomes an adult who is always looking outside of himself for definition. The trail goes something like, since who I am was always defined by someone or something outside of me, now, as an adult, I seek my identity and meaning outside of me. And this cuts to the quick of what the real quest for self is about. Fundamentally, it is never a quest outside of oneself. Far too often, it is mistakenly endeavored outside of oneself. Heck, even I still do this at times. But you've been taught that your own instincts and thoughts and feelings shouldn't be listened to and thus can't be trusted. It only makes sense that you would try to find yourself outside of yourself. But that is never where the solution lies. That is why we're never really in the business of discovering or finding ourselves as if it were somewhere out there. Point of fact, the real mystery of life is the quest to allow ourselves. It's about removing that which blocks the flow of your one true voice rising up from within you. And make no mistake, blockage is always, always, always fear. Always. In one form or another. That which stands between you and yourself, you and your true voice, you and your aliveness, is fear. The grand task of life is not finding yourself, but allowing yourself. But because you have forever posited the power source of your life outside of yourself, parent, teacher, boss, girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, society, you are forever looking for some new truth outside of yourself, as if it was something we find. You are caught not just looking in for the wrong thing, but looking in the wrong place, caught in the belief that the power source need be outside of yourself. Fundamentally, you've not given yourself permission to be your own power source. Heck, it's possible the thought of doing so never even crossed your mind. That's how entrenched you are in the external thinking. This happens in no small part because you were taught not to trust yourself, your own decisions, your own ability to know, and your own capacity to navigate life, not to mention be your own power source. For example, if you believe that you must have a better job, a mate, a new mate, a bigger house, more money, more prestige, etc., in order to be happy, you are caught in the never-ending belief in the external power source. And as a result, you will never, in fact, be happy, in no small part because you are using what others will say make you happy to make you happy. And until you've identified and are living that which moves your soul, you cannot, by definition, be happy. For another example on a parenting note, I encouraged my own daughter and son at roughly age 12 to 13 to begin dating a bit, to experience holding hands and a first kiss, etc. I wanted them to experience love, infatuation, heartbreak, hopelessness of love lost, recovery, new love, getting broken up from, and having to break up from someone you care about, but cannot be with anymore. I wanted them to experience all of this when young, so they're not getting bowled over by these experiences for the first time or two in college, when the stakes are higher, or when they're in their mid-20s and need all of their energy and attention on building their career. If a kid is experiencing massive heartbreak for the first time when she's also trying to kick butt in her career, it'll kill her and potentially massively sidetrack her career, or worse. It'll cause her to start stuffing down her feelings and just power through, which is never a happy solution long term. Most importantly, I encourage my kids when young to dive into relationships and all that comes with them so they'd get used to hearing and acting on their own inner voice in relationships, get some reps, and feel confidence and trust in that inner voice. When you haven't been given permission to trust your own voice, it becomes so easy to give away your power and life direction in a relationship. It becomes so easy to lose yourself, forever tuned in to making your mate and others happy, completely forgetting about your true self. And I can happily report today that my kids are in their mid-20s, happy and building their careers. They're still getting their reps in relationships and enjoying it, but the setbacks and the heartbreaks aren't devastating them or throwing their lives off course, and they are far more in tune with their own inner voice. To become your real self, to live your truth, to become happy demands living your own voice, which is inside of you. Thus, it demands allowing your truth to rise up from within, scary as that may be. And to allow your truth to rise up means to remove all blockages, all negative messages, and all fears, both externally and internally. And that is the scariest part. To actually confront, actually wade into the stuff you're most afraid of. To quote the great 20th century mythologist Joseph Campbell, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." The truth is, your path will find you. There is no wrong step. The path of allowing who we are means discovering who we are not. The path to authentic you goes through many not yous. Hence, there is no such thing as wasted time. Everything today is an element of your tomorrow, no matter how hideous or shameful it feels. Everything of your past is part of today's wisdom. You just refuse to look at it, see it for what it really is, and mine it for all the massive gems of wisdom it holds. You may worry that you won't or can't seem to find your path, the path of your greatness, the path of your joy, the path of really feeling alive and on fire. But the only thing you need to do is accept and release the fear, trusting that the greatness will come, trusting that the path will find you, and it will. It already has. You're already on it. It's all working for your good, even the hard, confusing, or seemingly fruitless parts. My own failures, setbacks, and years of immense struggle were the very fodder of my present success. If I had not failed and fought my life so hard, I would have little comprehension of the pain of others also in the fight, which is critical to my work. More importantly, I would have no concept of how to lead others out of the misery because I would have never had to figure out my own way out of my misery. I would have never found the answers if I had not so intensely wrestled with the questions. Everything on the path of life is fodder and the fuel for what is next. Song recommendation. By the time the late 90s rolled around, I had 2 young children. As a result, Disney movies were a staple in my life, and I gotta say, I am a fan. Pretty much love them all. Love the stories, the characters, and especially the music, because they're loaded with great messages, far more than just advancing the particular storyline of the particular movie. Recognizing that, look up the song "A Star is Born" from Hercules. It's an upbeat song with a fitting message that speaks to the frustration of not knowing the way, but discovering that the map is inside of you. Your heart knows the way, and while that's a gigantic cliche, it is also a gigantic truth. Give it a listen. Journaling recommendations. 1. What have been the 3 primary paths you've gone down that were not you and no longer are you? 2. Okay, now the telling part. What were each of the 3 paths sent to teach you, both about life and about you? What would you not know about you, or what would you not presently be if you had never gone down those directions? 3. In a previous chapter, you assessed the difference between your parents' values and yours. Can you see more clearly how identifying your own voice and values is critical to living your own path? In what ways? How awesome is this? This is going to be the book we're going to be giving away. It is an autographed copy as well. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, share this out with your friends. At the end of the series, there will be a giveaway for a copy of your own book. Thank you.